Okay, so we are looking at multiplying numbers in scientific notation. So our first step is to multiply the decimals. So by the decimals, got A times B, or times 10 to the B, sorry, is our format. So we're talking about we're going to multiply the A's, so whatever is in front of the scientific notation. And then we add the exponents on the tens, because that's just how our power rules go. And then put the final answer in scientific notation if needed. So you may need to move the decimal and add to the power, which is what generally happens. So you'll have to check your number after you multiply and make sure that it all fits. So I'm going to do these a couple ways. On number one, we're going to do it completely without a calculator, just because that's something that could happen on an assessment situation, or if you just didn't have a calculator handy, make sure that we understand what to do. So first we're going to take these decimal numbers, the numbers out in front, and we're going to multiply those together. So we're just going to set up our long multiplication. It's kind of a pain, but it's not horrible. This isn't too big. So we take 2 times 7 and get 14. Put down the 4, carry the 1. 3 times 7 is 21, plus 1 is 22. And then we put our magic 0. Take 2 times 2 to get 4, 2 times 3 to get 6, and this 1 was from the last round, so we'll leave it. And we add, and so we get 8, 6, 4. And then the hard part's remembering how many decimal places to put in the answers. I've got 1 here and 1 here, which means I need to take the decimal back 2 places. Yep. So I'll have 8.64, and then I just need to add these powers, 7 plus 2. So I'll have 10 to the 9th. So even without a calculator, this isn't super bad. Now, if these were written out the long way, this would be a pain. So just to kind of illustrate why scientific notation is cool, this would be 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 270. So imagine doing that by longhand. So the scientific notation takes us down to just a little bit of multiplication and addition. This would be horrible if I had to write this out the long way. All those zeros, keeping track of things, there'd be a lot of places to make mistakes. So that's why we have scientific notation. It makes fewer mistakes. It just takes a lot less time to write. Okay, so for this next one, we're going to use a calculator a little bit. So I'm just actually going to multiply the numbers in front. I'm going to take 5.2 times 4.8, and we get 2.0. I have this in scientific notation right now. So let's pretend I didn't for a second. Okay, so if I didn't have that in the mode to make everything scientific notation, then I would get 24.96. So even if I multiplied it out by hand, that's what I would get. And I have some negative powers here, but I still add them. So I'm adding negative 4 plus negative 3, and we just get negative 7. And you can do that on here too. Negative 4 plus negative 3 if you're just not sure. And we get negative 7. And then since 24 is not between your 1 and 10, you could move that decimal over, and then you're going to add 1 to the power, which is a little bit more interesting when it's a negative power, because it's going to look more like you're subtracting, because negative 7 plus 1 is negative 6. Now, theoretically, if you're allowed to use a scientific calculator, you could put all of this into the calculator and have it all done for you. So the first thing is we'll put it in scientific notation form. So you hit your second, and this button right here is a scientific or engineering above it. I'll put it in scientific notation. And then we can go in and just take 5.2 times 10 to the negative 4 times 4.8 times 10 to the negative third. And it's going to not only multiply everything for you, but it adjusts the powers and puts it back in scientific notation. So if you're allowed to use this, this is a really cool tool. But like I said, I never know when we're assessed whether they're going to ask you to do something by hand without a calculator or with, so we're going to do a little bit of both. Okay, so let's practice just using this on the last problem. So you just type it in. You don't need the parentheses because it's all multiplication. And I don't know why there's like a double parentheses there. It's because I can't type, obviously. So 6.3 times 10 to the second times 7.9 times 10 to the negative fifth is, and it's going to change it all for us, so 4.977 times 10 to the negative 2. And so with a calculator, it's pretty straightforward.